Mm, 1 2 1 2. Tell me, guys, if you can hear me, and then we're gonna begin. I could go for a good rant about now, Russell. Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will. There's plenty of things to talk about. So, still waiting on you the confirmation that the sound is good, that the camera is good, and so on. I can hear you. Okay. Super, super. Very good. Welcome, 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 everyone. We haven't seen each other for a while now. Can we get a bit higher audio? Oh, there we go. This is what I would like to hear. A bit higher audio. Let me see. Sound input volume. It seems that uh, default. How about default? I set the audio channel to default. Maybe this will work. Um, Question is which audio source is being. Guys, can you tell me if I'm moving closer to the microphone? Do you hear me better? I know you can hear me. Basically, what I'm saying is like, is this my camera that is picking up the sound, or is this my microphone? Yes, yes, you are set. Okay, great. Let's while it's working, let's stick with this because I did the most what is it called? The most sinister. Closer is better. Yes, it's the mic. Good. So I did the most sinister thing that one can do with the whole setup, camera, and everything. I left everything as it is when I was recording my videos, and then just left and came back. And obviously, during that time, while I was not present here, everything just broke by itself because that's exactly how technology works, apparently. In any case, let's get to a little bit more substance because we are here. We haven't seen each other for a while now. We have so many things to talk about. Boy, oh boy. And I am deadly tired. I've been driving today the whole day, but we haven't seen each other once again for a very long time, and I have a lot of depth before you guys to catch up. So we'll try to do it as much as we can. But before we do it, I would like to us all to give a hand for the moderating team because without moderating team, we would not have a channel. We would not have all of these things up and running that is happening also behind the scenes. So thank you so much for all of the people that are dedicating their time. And obviously, big thanks also to the viewers that are sticking with me despite me being somewhat inconsistent in the last couple of months. But let's talk. Let's finally move to something more crucial. Let's talk about Ukraine. We kind of stopped our discussions for a while, and I think the most important thing that happened was well, there's actually two things. The first thing, what is happening at the sea, because that was a bit unexpected for me, and we're going to talk about that. And the second thing was what's the outcome of the whole Konstantinivka and the Russian attacks. We're going to recap that There's going to be a map update tomorrow that's coming, but we're going to cover some of it also today. And then we're going to transition to the question section. So please join the question section, and then you can write your questions in that question section. So, yes. Yes, let's go. So the sea. Now, we expected that Ukraine is going to strike some of the things inside of the sea. We expected that with Ukraine doing their campaign to isolate Crimea, it's going to be easier if I... since I'm on this page anyway, guys, remember to support the fundraiser. I'm hoping moderators are going to share the links. This is very important. I hope we can finish this at some point this year. It's been a big effort for me, and thank you so much for everyone that is participating. We've helped a lot of people, and I will potentially be sharing some of the videos with you later today. So we knew that Ukraine will be trying to isolate Crimea. We did a couple of videos talking about that. Isolation of Crimea is probably fantastic opportunity for Ukraine. Russia cannot let go of Crimea. Russia must continue feeding Crimea with resources, and it is becoming basically a black hole of Russian resources. And as the war of attrition, the more resources you spend not on boosting your military, the worse it is. So if initially it was that there was just some air defense systems that were stationed across Crimea, and then Ukraine would strike these air defenses, it really started draining on people in Crimea. And at that moment, we noted that this is pretty good. However, now with Ukraine developing their more modern drone technology and really investing a lot of their drone units, their this attrition push has been increased many times over. We talked about that Ukraine has been striking the transport paths that were located on the land bridge corridor right over here. We talked about that Ukraine has been striking a lot of the trucks and also the trains inside of the Krasnodar region going into Crimea, and obviously striking targets in Crimea. What was not expected is how Ukraine will deal with the naval factor, because remember, Russia is still able to supply Crimea via sea. So if we would just kind of look at this area right over here and right over here, port of Novorossiysk, this is probably was less surprising because Ukraine has been pummeling a lot of the ships around Novorossiysk. They have been essentially sending these naval drones to continue striking all of the ships that tried to exit the port of Novorossiysk, and a lot of ships were basically forced to just stay inside the harbor. Whereas the Sea of Azov, the one that is to the north, which is located right over there, that was a little bit different. Because here, actually, there is a whole river of Don that is a Russian shipping river, and they're able to ship a lot of the goods down that river and essentially through the Sea of Azov and into Crimea. And despite all of the difficulties that were there with the land bridge, despite all of the difficulties that were there with the trains, the reality was that with the ships still coming into Crimea, it would be still very difficult for for Ukraine to really influence the situation in Crimea. And then we start seeing the absolute massacre that Madar and his group has been conducting on the Sea of Azov, completely decimating Russian cargo ship, like these smaller tanker fleet that are river tanker, like river barges, and essentially creating the sense of dread for any kind of non-government institutions to even consider going into that direction. This absolutely turned the perception of what is happening with Crimea on its head, because now Russia basically needs to subsidize. Russia needs to sort of force all of these neutral. I don't want to say neutral actors because it's still non-government actors. Let's put it this way, because while we like to think that Russian military is the government organization and therefore everything that Russian military needs they're getting from the government. That is not true. They actually are getting very little. Instead, it was the private enterprises that were supplying a lot of what Russians really needed, including the gasoline that they need to fuel their vehicles, fuel their generators to get electricity, and most importantly, fuel their own drones that they would like to launch inside of Ukraine. This created a really big problem for Russia, both with fuel and other things, that now with the dried private supply of this, now basically Russian government is forcing to either overpay for all of the deliveries or to supply the stuff themselves costly by using military equipment. And the problem is that whatever gets in Crimea right now is they're up for the taking. Right, we're not even discussing here the campaign that Ukraine is waging on the refineries, how recently they've struck some of the refineries that were reproducing gasoline once again. But the point is that Crimea is becoming just a huge boulder on already sinking Russian military. Resources that could be spent literally anywhere else on the front line. And believe me, Russians, like if you've read any of the Russian Z propagandists' Telegram channels, they are crying their tears out, asking for, like, basically, remember the meme with Prigozhin? Where are the shells? Where is the ammunition? Basically that, except about literally everything. And they're crying for supplies. And now a lot of these supplies are going into Crimea just because Putin cannot let go. And this is really bad. This is really bad. There is no real option for Russia to kind of go around this. I mean, obviously, we will see adaptation. We will see Russia adapt to the middle strikes. We will see Russia find solutions how to protect against drones. That is all parts of the inevitable war cycle. This is something that I want you all to agree. And I'm pretty sure we're going to talk later on about the Fedorov and so on. But this is why I specifically say that it's important that Ukraine has not some older generals that have really succeeded at the front line, but rather a little bit more innovators, because Ukraine needs to constantly innovate and be ahead of the technological cycle before Russia if they are to continue their successes. Because this is what's going to really help Ukraine eventually win the war. That's how it is. Because not having Crimea attainable for Russia is the ultimate victory strategy, and I'm pretty sure of that. Now, I already mentioned in my last video that obviously there's going to be actors that are trying to let's get Ukraine and Russia to negotiation stable, and then they can discuss. Right now, it is just Trump and some other fringe actors, but we know that there are elections coming up in France. Most likely, it's going to be Le Pen that's going to win them, right? Though I would hope that it's not. But then again, on the left, there is not much more better option for that. And everyone is sick and tired of Macron in France, unfortunately, despite the fact that he's probably the best there is for Ukraine. In Germany, right now, there is already preparation for some elections, and there is already a bit of instability. UK is not looking great, though obviously the hilariosity with the Count Binface couldn't be the most British thing that I think I've ever heard of. So basically, there are going to be appearing a lot of, and obviously, if we're talking Eastern Europe, I mean Poland, like you know more than me what's up with Poland. It's really fucked. The Czechia, Bulgaria already have people that are not super favorable for Ukraine. Hungary, despite stopping the blocking of the sanctions on Russia, they are still pressuring Ukraine once again, putting. So, point is, there's going to be more and more of these challenges coming for Ukraine and trying to pressure Ukraine. The good news is, as I said, is that the hope of what should happen with Ukraine has really happened. Ukraine transitioned from being just a recipient of help from different countries, sort of a we just donate everything to Ukraine and then they live off of our donations. That's not the case anymore. We transitioned to mutually beneficial deals where Ukraine is providing us with military technologies, they're providing opportunities and market for a lot of our enterprises, and a lot of the money that goes into Ukraine right now is pretty much, it's pretty much an investment. Hospos in UK isn't doing great. I beg to differ, sir. Well, ask this in a question section and then I will answer and we can talk about this. So overall, there is right now a lot of things that are happening, but I wouldn't worry about diplomatically pressuring anyone Ukraine to a bad deal. The most important thing is the cohesion within Ukraine. This is the second part where I thought it was so important that President Zelensky addresses this, dismisses Syrskyi, and he did, gets a new general that is respected, and he got Drapati, which is probably the most respected. By the way, fun, like absolute crazy situation with Drapati is like some people, I don't know what they were smoking. They were like, well, they dismissed Syrskyi. Apparently, Syrskyi is like this excellent general, which, I mean, he's competent and so on. I've been protecting him and I will continue protecting him because I understood his ability to like do stuff. But he also had a lot of downsides, which we can talk about if you ask the questions. But the point of the matter is, someone looked at Drapati and said like, well, this guy is like some IT guy, and then he doesn't know anything about war, and now he's commander of chief. Like, who do you think people are? Drapati is legendary. He has been going through this war from the full start. He has seen how Russia fight. He has been fighting Russia. He has been saving Ukrainian bots in their operational areas where he was sent in a completely devastating situations where like 9 out of 10 other commanders would fail. He was able to pull ahead. If I'm not wrong, he finished the and again, like, please correct me in chat if this is, he finished the British Academy, Military Academy, with honors, if not the best, but at least one of the best students of the whole course. And he even got awarded by a saber from the late Queen, if I'm not wrong. Again, please fact check me on this in the comment section. The point is, he is an established general with a proven track record of knowing how to run war, how to fight war, and how to fight specifically the Russians. No sound? What do you mean no sound? Guys, what? He's a fine officer. Yes, exactly. What do you mean no sound? Like, what? Did someone just started watching this like from the beginning and then just wrote no sound in chat? Okay, never mind. Yes, so Drapati is really good and competent commander, and he is really fantastic at what he's doing. So I think he's going to be a nice addition. Once again, I want to underscore that wars like this full-blown wars that is right now Russia waging on Ukraine, they are not won by the armies. They're won by nations. And the cohesion of Ukrainian nation is what gonna bring the ultimate victory. This is a challenge. This is right now a competition between nations. Once again, I underscored that Russia had the advantage because of their big stockpiles, their deep pockets of the ultra profits that was given to them from us, the Europeans. We gave money to Russia. We paid it all over the last 30 years, thanks to our political class, the Merkels, the Schroeders, the everyone else. They are the ones that took our money, gave it to Russia. Russia filled their pockets, and they then spent that money to kill Ukrainians. And we are then watching this and it's like, well, you go Ukraine, good for you. And thankfully, slowly but surely, we started figuring that out and starting to help Ukraine. But Ukraine as a nation is what ultimately going to win. So that's why it was crucial for President Zelensky to make the right decision and to make sure the cohesion of the nation persists. And that happened. So that's why I don't think that there is going to be a lot of issues with regards to the Drapati as being being commander-in-chief. Now, with getting Fedorov as a Minister of Defense, that is a bit different situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, neither Drapati, neither Fedorov are ideal people. They all have like some downsides. But then again, who doesn't? Like, I mean, I'm a piece of shit, but there are still people watching me, so thank you for that. And then we do our stuff. Yeah, but have you considered cheap fossils, Georgie? Yes, true. But have you considered just giving money to the state that on their propaganda channels 24/7 are stating how we're gonna ruin Europe, that are taking the money from us that we're giving to them and then putting that money to work to dismantle our democracies, to literally pay off the actors inside our own countries that are dismissing our fundamental democratic rights. Insanity, absolute insanity. And I really cannot believe that there's still this. But then again, it is what it is. Georgie, be nice to yourself. Nah, I that's how I work. Like, if I don't smack myself around, then I'm just gonna be sitting and doing nothing. Thankfully, this month finally is coming to an end. So all of my travels that were related to personal life are now more or less wrapping up. So I will continue working. In some time in the future, I will go back to Ukraine to do things, and we will have an update for that. Let me see, by the way, what I can share with you. Let me give a picture. Oh wait, right, I posted this. I'm not sure if you've seen this. I'm not sure if you've seen this on Blue Sky, because I forgot to post it on the YouTube, and I haven't done video yet where I posted this. But first of the latest batch of drones have arrived to the guys on the front lines. So if I switch this, yes. So they made a bit of a photo shoot with some of these drones that were delivered. As far as I understood, right now they are still distributing them to the units. So essentially, they've received them, then they distributed them to the units. Now units need to get to use them, and then we're gonna get some feedback on that. So that's a good thing. And do I have any videos that I can share? Okay, I'll try to find the videos at the end, because let's keep this flow a little bit going, because we can get some of the videos of drone strikes a bit later, because I got some of those. I just cannot put them into videos that much. But hey, all good. Some people call the intelligence, Georgie, call that intelligence. Nah. Definitely not intelligence. If I would be intelligent, I would be like, I would not be driving Ford Fiesta. Let's put it this way. I would probably have a bit thicker bank accounts, let's say. So no, yeah, intelligent I am not. Maybe like on a level of like I can select which beer I like, sort of. Right. So the second part, the situation on the front line. The situation for Russia has been pretty terrible. We talked about this like a month ago, and basically we talked about what Russia wants to achieve in 2022. 2020, fuck me, I'm 4 years behind. I mean, in 2026, obviously. And we were telling that Russia had a pretty, I mean, it was bad, but it was like somewhat successful 2025, because at least they could put some kind of propaganda picture that they were advancing. Not the case for 2026. 2026 is going absolutely horribly for Russians. They cannot really show anything that they're progressing. They are not. They do not have really, literally anything. And I talked about that the biggest thing that Russia wants to achieve for any kind of propaganda victory is they need to get to Drushkivka, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk agglomeration. That is their goal. Now, they have been claiming that by the end of this year, they're going to capture this whole area. They're going to capture this. I said that that's a complete fantasy, never going to happen. And the only thing that they could do is they could try to approach it, because at the start of the year, they had some success in the eastern direction around Siversk, where they were able to capture Siversk. And they were able to have some movement north of this position around Liman. And then there was also quite rapid advance around Konstantinivka, which was the most problematic one. And at that moment, I described saying, well, let's see what's going to happen. Because so far, in Siversk and Liman, it doesn't look good. If we take Siversk, the one that I had some movements in first, I explained that there is actually sort of like a natural barrier right over here. And there, in general, there is like this sort of a triangle that we would expect Russia to basically already be over with. Because that triangle is kind of reaching to that natural barrier that Ukrainians can utilize to effectively defend against Russians. It's like a small channel. Russians haven't even reached that in whole half a year. Here, like absolutely devastation. They are continuing their advances, but they are basically in like meters per week. That's it. So Siversk direction was a complete failure in this. They're not gonna reach even the kind of like the starting point. So if you imagine this like a race, then Russians are still trying to get to the changing rooms, while everyone else is kind of trying to already finish the race. In Liman, there were a couple of nasty attempts that Russians did in 2026. They were able to breach the southeastern direction of Liman from this position, but Ukraine did a couple of actions that really complicated the whole situation for Russians. The first thing, what they did is they attacked towards Yampil in this position, which put Ukrainians in a little bit of vulnerable position. I mean, you can see it by yourself. But it did prevent a lot of Russian free movement of goods and manpower into this exposed southern position of Liman. And then the second move was, we recently got reports of, is the Ukrainian counterattack from the north, sort of doing similar thing, trying to sort of cut the salient. Now, people have been stating that there is now an encirclement, that all of the Russians that are in this area right over here, they're completely encircled. That's not the current nature of war. The current front line is very porous. There's always going to be possibilities for people and goods to go around because drones and stuff like that. But it still was bad enough for Russia that now they cannot just utilize this salient properly to that extent. So they cannot just easily send in forces to start encircling Liman. What happened in the last half a year is Ukraine essentially conducted blocking operations. And now Russians are like, they don't have good enough position so they can attack Liman. So the northern direction, once again, Russia here is not even reaching the starting line. The starting line would be at least contesting Liman inside of the city, maybe controlling 50% of the city. That could be considered sort of like a starting line for what Russia needed to achieve during the year. So the only thing that was there was Konstantinivka. And Konstantinivka is a tough position. I personally, well, first and foremost, guys, remember the drones? Yeah, these guys. These drones are to the 93rd Brigade. And 93rd Brigade is the brigade that is fighting specifically in Konstantinivka. So all of these drones, that you helped fundraise, they will fly specifically to try to preserve and fight in most difficult currently part of the front line. Konstantinivka is in a very unfortunate situation. Here, Russians had a couple of very successful attacks. They also utilized their breakthrough that was happening before. Remember, there was an early breakthrough in the year, which kind of moved some Ukrainian forces to try to contain it. And they exposed kind of some of the flanks of Konstantinivka, allowing Russians to sort of the semi-encircle it, the famous Russian grab. And Konstantinivka right now is pretty much encircled. Now, the current warfare is not the same warfare, so the fact that it is encircled doesn't mean that there is no fighting. More than that, from time to time, we see Ukrainians appear also in the town of Konstantinivka. However, that has been contested whether or not it's a good idea to show that Ukrainians are there. The point is, and the bottom line is, that Russia does not control the town of Konstantinivka, despite, by the way, Putin already telling that they do. And the fact that they don't control it, we were stating that if by the end of July, Russia will not capture Konstantinivka, then once again, not only they don't achieve their stated goals, because to be honest, Russian goals would be not just to capture Konstantinivka, it would be to capture Konstantinivka and then move forward quite a distance. Let's see how much it is. Let's see. Give me a second. How much do we need from Konstantinivka to Drushkivka? That's another 14 kilometers, essentially, 13 kilometers. So they would need to capture the town of Konstantinivka, then move another 13 kilometers and start the semi-encirclement of Drushkivka, which is a sort of the southern gateway of Kramatorsk-Sloviansk. And they are not there. They are not nearly there. It's a failure. Failure. Russians are sucking big dong. And they are really struggling. Really struggling with trying to achieve anything of note. That is why there is right now the discussion of what's going to happen with mobilization. Is mobilization likely? Yes. But I'm pretty sure all of you here are the people that have watched my videos on the channel. And I told you that it looks like that whatever Russia is planning to mobilize is not going to fan out. Right now, there are a couple of scenarios being discussed. Scenario number one is that Russia is going to mobilize about 1.2 million people over the course of the year. And I explained that, to be honest, with the falling current Russian recruitment rates, it will be barely compensating for that tempo. Russia will not gain massive advantage, and it's basically just going to continue the meat grinder. Horrible meat grinder, costing a lot of innocent Ukrainian lives, costing a lot of civilian lives because Russia is investing into the terror tactics. But nonetheless, it will not bring any kind of frontline change for Russia. Second was, someone says that Russia wants to mobilize 500,000 people, but they want to mobilize that in a couple of months. That is interesting. That could definitely create some kind of a propaganda picture. It can create some kind of narrative that, look, Russia is advancing. The problem is that this is, once again, unsustainable. Ukraine currently is increasing drone production, and if Russia just creates more people, then I mean, it's not going to change the dynamic. Now, someone says that they might get those people trained into flying drones. Now, that could be interesting, but that's why Ukraine right now is targeting so much the drone facilities. And that's why Ukraine right now is developing a lot of intelligence network to specifically target the drone operators. And right now, Russian drone operators are knowing all damn well how big of a problem it is to be a drone operator in Russia. And finally, someone says that Russia might go for full mobilization, like 5 million people. That was the number that I've heard speculated. Firstly, that was a wild number, so there was no literal source. It looked like just like some kind of a scary fairy tale that someone says. There was no quoting on that. I haven't heard about that number anywhere else, so I'm skeptical. But we since it's been said, it would be devastating. We often think about Russian population in a sense of the total number of people. Like, Russia has 140 something million. Therefore, we take 5 million of that, and that barely makes an impact. That's not the case. Russia has a very unfavorable demographics, unfortunately, for Russia and fortunately for us. They don't have that much really capable men. And the problem is Russia is also very sort of a conservative old school society. One man as a head of the family could be supplying some 2-3 people in the household. So when we're talking about Russia mobilizing like 5 million men, we could potentially see essentially 5 million households. Okay, maybe not 5 million. Let's say 1 million is like single man that just didn't find anything better to do. But like 4 million households, which could be anywhere up to like 15, 20 million people that just suddenly lose any kind of income, any kind of ability to do anything. That is catastrophic, especially because a lot of times it is specifically the men in Russia that also get the education. So when we consider that, like, women still can go work if they need to support the child, But if, once again, traditional society, if in Russia, woman was not studying in university, but the Russian man did, then suddenly that woman will not be as good of a substitute for a qualified position. And a lot of men are. And that is just one part. The second part is that there is going to be sort of a similar SKP flow. Now, when Russia announced the first mobilization about what was 1-to-1, now there is already a lot of discussions about some enforcement of people staying inside Russia, prohibition of leaving the country, and so on, and all of the things that can happen. But still, there could be a lot of movement against that. Now, I don't expect that Russians will protest. That's not how Russians do. But the point of the matter is there's going to be a lot of people that are going to start hiding and going to stop contributing to society in Russia. And maybe it's not going to be 1-to-1, but let's say another 30%. So we would essentially see an impact of potentially 20 to 30 million of people that will suddenly have their lives disrupted. That is like 20 to 25% of Russians. A quarter of population just gets uprooted. That is economic disaster. And especially because Russian economy is already not doing well. So all in all, I don't believe the 5 million number. I think it's a little bit silly. I think if they do it, they're going to be basically signing their own death sentence. But then again, Russians are known for doing this. Remember Prigozhin? Like the guy literally almost went to become the queen of Russia, went all the way up almost to Moscow, already was measuring like what's the size of the throne of gold that he needs for himself. and then suddenly he changed his mind and just decided, hey, why don't I kill myself instead? And then he surrendered just himself to Putin, and then Putin put him on a plane with a. It's like he was playing with a grenade on plane. Silly little priggy. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Fun, fun, fun. All right, let's get some super chats, and then we're gonna move to questions. Sir Shroom, thank you so much for being a member for 17 months. I appreciate it. Canada Doc, thank you so much for being a member for 33 months. Jesus Christ, we've been doing this for a while. Bonjour, hello, thank you. Let's support Ukraine. Yes, support Ukraine first and foremost. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Canada Doc, thank you so much for giving one membership. I appreciate it. Daddy Jim Fella UA, 3 months, baby. Love you, Georgie. Thank you. Love to you, my man. Richard Bennett, thank you so much, my friend, for sending 5 memberships. I really, really appreciate it. iBag, 41 month. Man, I appreciate it so, so much. Slava Ukraini, Heroям Slava, my friend. Ukraine will win, absolutely, no doubt. Keith Sires, sorry for butchering your name. Thank you for 10 pounds. What do you think about winter coming for the Russians? Not much. Like, firstly, I don't try not to think about Russians too much because, you know, it's like the logic usually go like if Russians will have it hard, then maybe they're going to pressure Putin, but not the country and not the population. They don't act like this. So I don't think that there's going to be anything that's going to happen to Russia that's going to make them essentially pressure Putin. That's not going to happen. And in other contexts, I'm more interested in looking at to, like, you know, how Ukraine can disrupt the economy of Russia and specifically military economy. And obviously, sabotaging the work and demotivating Russians does sabotage some of that economy, and that's good. And specifically, for example, with Wildberries, the strikes against those, they're sabotaging private economy sector, so less taxes for Russian military. Yes, great. Super. Russell Whiskey, thanks so much for being a member for 38 months, my friend. Appreciate it. Slava Ukraini, Heroям Slava, my friend. Let's go. Okay, question time. Not so nominal. Can you touch the Ukraine hacked air defense and shut down Su-57? I heard of the story. I mean, is it possible? Yes, but I think it's just like more incompetence. We've seen Russians friendly fire shut down their own planes plenty. So Ukraine hacked and so on. I mean, could it be? Yes, but I'm using, what is it, Hanlon's razor, if I'm not wrong. Let me Google this. Hanlon's razor. Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice, that is which adequately explained by stupidity. Yeah, pretty much that. So Hanlon's razor. No, not Occam's razor. Hanlon's razor. Occam's razor is different. Occam's razor was something like don't create entities unnecessarily, if I'm wrong, no? Where is it? Entities must not be multiplied beyond necessity. Yes, there we go. There we go. So Hanlon's razor. Yeah. Just use Georgie's razor. I should use a razor for sure. I'm overgrown as hell. Yes. All right. Joe the Dude, when the Russian regime collapses, what will happen in Russia? Don't know, don't care. It wasn't mean. What can Ukraine do to take out production side for ballistic missiles in Russia? Ukraine needs its own ballistic missiles. So right now, it's very hard for Ukraine to hit specifically the targets. And the solution for that is own ballistic missiles, as ironic as it is. So that's the answer. Then again, Russia most likely is going to start moving them underground. So to be honest, not much. There is literally nothing Ukraine can do except for developing their own anti-ballistic missiles. The good news, if I can call it good, is that Russia is investing in terror tactics. So they're using these ballistic missiles that they're investing in to strike targets, basically children, elderly, women, because they cannot find any kind of concentrated Ukrainian military targets. There was one in Bila Tserkva just south of Kiev, and instantly after it was struck, that there was like a whole investigation in Ukraine. How did this happen? And beyond that, we don't see this happening almost ever. So it's very clearly that Russia is not being able to hit a lot of those concentrated. They do hit like sometimes production, military production, and so on, but nothing to an extent that is being stated by the Russian MOD. Very, very marginal. Devri Komokor. Oh, sorry, man, I'm butchering your name. Devri Korkmaz. I'm very sorry. Lack of patriots is intentional, or US cannot protect allies. I don't think US wants to protect allies. I mean, like, obviously when I'm saying US, I mean the current US administration. Nothing indicated to me that current US administration is looking to protect allies. Like, they want to protect Trump's friends or people that he considers friends, but not allies. Allies means nothing anymore with the current Trump's administration. So I think your terms are a bit obsolete here. He says, I'm thinking about the lack of fuel, no energy, no heating and cooking. Thanks another for 10 pounds. Appreciate it, my friend. No, it's never going to be like that. It's never going to be like that. Russia has plenty of energy. I know we all want to think that Russia is just going to run out, but that's not the case. That is not the case. Russia has plenty of fuel. And you need to remember that a lot of Russian population live in very deprived areas of the country, and they basically have been living with nothing that besides their own food that they can find and procure, maybe forage even, for a while now. So I think Russian population is generally more resilient than one can imagine. Michael Mack, thanks so much for $5. Salute to all the good people here from North Carolina coast. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. Thank you so much. Props to all of the people in US that still support Ukraine, despite all of the fuckery that's happening with you. Holy moly, you're living through a weird one right now. Independence Life. What's your latest thoughts on Fedorov? Well, I already explained some of it. I think Fedorov might be overplaying his cards a bit. I know what he wants to do. I didn't like that he's trying to come up this, like, I'm going to stay in President Zelensky's team. I'm not going to go into opposition. I'm not going to go to the protesters. I don't know. I think like he's too smart to play dumb like that. So I would love him to consider the other ways how he contribute without just coming back to as a Minister of Defense. I think there are other roles he could take, but maybe he's more set in his ways than I consider. Maybe he knows things that I don't know. So far he's been pretty okay, and I do think that with the current removal of Syrskyi, any kind of pretense to not have him as a Minister of Defense is gone. I do want him to be a Minister of Defense, but not because of specifically Fedorov as a person, but because new Minister of Defense will need like 6 to 8 months to try to unfuck, sorry, not unfuck, but like to figure out what the hell is happening in the ministry at all right now. And Fedorov was already in that place, so he would just be able to act. And I think there would be more benefits of having him back. But once again, I don't know the calculation of President Zelensky. We hear some weird stories about Yermak still having influence on Zelensky, and essentially Yermak going to like a witch and getting some guidance from the stars to how to run the country, which is like, I mean, that's a whole another discussion. Anadrolus, I'm surprised that Denis Davidov is so pessimistic. He believes that the war will last at least another 3 years. IMO Russia will finance the collapse next year and stop the war. It's hard to predict. I mean, it can still last for 3 years. Russia has the ability to do so. I cannot talk specifically about Denis. Like, you would need to ask him about why he's pessimistic. I am more optimistic because majority of the expectations that would need to happen for Ukraine to win have happened. There are certain downsides, but my biggest kind of hope was that we will see Ukraine to be more independent and strong actor on its own. And this is happening. Like, Ukraine production, output, the President Zelensky, despite all of the shitting on him, he still is responding to the public demands, which keeps the cohesion of the nation. So I don't think that there is only negatives. I think there is also positives there. A lot more reforms needs to happen. A lot more movements. But I think it's sort of like you can approach the problem that Ukraine is having right now with the attitude, I'm going to pull my hair, how bad everything is. Or you can approach it with like, okay, we're in deep shit. How do we start dealing with this? Like, constructively. And I think I always try to find the constructive angle on to see, like, is Ukraine trying to solve these issues? And most of the time I see that they're trying to have some kind of constructive angle, despite the fact that there are sometimes, like with the situation of Fedorov and Syrsky, pushbacks. But even with that, we see that Ukraine is seemingly coming out stronger out of it. So that's why I'm optimistic. Park City Snowboarder, sorry for butchering your name. What do you see in Ukraine's game plan for the rest of the summer and fall in regards to the war? Well, Ukraine right now has been changing the equation of war. They have been changing the approach and attitude to war, but they're not like winning and dominating on the front line. Far from it. The fighting on the front line is still fierce. Russians are still on the offensive. There is very limited operations that Ukraine is able to conduct to recapture its territory. So military victory for Ukraine so far seems pretty far-fetched. There were a couple of operations, and I talked about this in some of the videos, where Ukraine potentially could do like these crazy operations, which would be in the Syrsky's mentality, like potentially doable. The Drapati's, I don't think that this is going to be his way to go. I think Drapati is going to have a lot more modern approach, but to get that modern approach working will need time. And Ukrainian military is a big, really slowly moving organism, so I would give it at least a year additional extra. So that's why for the next year, I think what we will see is more of the same, while Ukraine hopefully will start conducting some internal revisions and improvements. Will Kushner, Kim is my username. Will Kushner or Co. I think it was unfinished. Might be a question about the Kushner and this, what's his face? Witkov coming to Ukraine. At least that was announced. Guys, those are useless people. Like, they don't influence anything. They're interested in only stuffing their own pockets by having Ukraine surrender, right? Let's not pretend that it's something else, okay? I know we can discuss, like, geopolitics, how to convince, all this bullshit. We've seen this many times, so it doesn't matter. Rome, you Francisco, thank you so much. Hi, today I stumbled on a video showing the Scala Brigade taking 4 villages in Tornove area, turning gray zone in what is said UAF controlled territory. Is it a move to prove something to Drapati? Ternove. Let me remind myself. I need to make sure Ternové Scala. Let me see. Because I think there's a couple of Ternové. If this is Ternové, let me actually switch. Let me see if I can find this Ternové. Ternové. There was one Ternové that was it in Liman direction? Torske, Jampol. Maybe not. Okay, where was Ternové? Can I find it? Ternové. Ternové, Donetsk. What is this? Is this Ternové? You mean this area? If this is this area, then this is nothing unexpected. Ukraine has been on the offensive here for a while now. Maybe it's different, Ternové. Yeah, it's definitely not this one. It definitely is not this one. Yeah, definitely. Zaporizhia, Ternové. It's definitely not this one. So I think Ternové Luhansk, and it's definitely not this Ternové. Yeah, so I guess it's this Ternové, which is, once again, gray zone doesn't mean it's... Okay, guys, important thing. Gray zone doesn't mean the Russian-controlled. The gray zone means it is gray zone. That means both parties can conduct operations here. So when you see Ukrainian forces filming that they're doing operations in the gray area, that's the whole kind of definition of gray area. So we might see Russians doing something in Ternové, and I would be not surprised. So doesn't seem like anything out of the ordinary for me. Yeah. So. Yeah, mods, can you I'll post the link to the fundraiser. Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for everyone that supports the Ukrainian armed forces. That is very, very, very necessary. Let's move back to the questions. Normality remembered T2S. Is it realistic to expect everyone to vacate Crimea? No. There is a lot of families of the military in Crimea. There is a lot of people that are working forcefully in Crimea. And there are still plenty of crazy people in Russia. So there's still going to be people that are going to be in Crimea. So it's not going to be always fully vacated. But we do see that some of the people that have a brain cell, they're starting to leave. I was thinking, why are they showing it now? Well, I mean, the footage from those areas are appearing nonstop. So maybe just like because the time kind of since that operation was performed already has passed. So the videos are being published constantly. Like maybe they're not surfacing enough. I don't know, like where you're getting your sources and so on. Because for me, basically the stream of videos from gray zones is sort of like unending feed of stuff. And actually for us as well, if you go to Discord and join the Discord, there is like a whole news channel and so on, and video share and so on, and people are sharing a lot of these links to people that are describing what's happening on the front line. So our Discord is a great way to get yourself acquainted, and there's like, as you see, you will see the unending stream of videos from everywhere. Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, thanks for the question. It was good. Normality again asks, do you think Putin told Trump that if he gave Zelensky the ability to build PAC interceptors that would have to use nukes? Okay, should we have a nuke discussion? Okay, no, I need to ask this question because I've explained nukes so goddamn many times that I need a vote on this. Wait, but if I start a vote, my questions are gonna disappear. Okay. We're gonna vote by how is it called? You know, like in the house, the yays and the nays. So post your yays and nays in the chat, and we'll see whether it's yays or nays are gonna have it. If I need to explain nukes once again. So because nukes. Okay, no, 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 don't write nukes. Write yay or nay. Yay now, now. Well, nay, 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 nay. Okay, good, 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 good. Yes, nukes. Yay, yay. Mostly nays. Okay, good. Super. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So basically, if someone can tag normality remembered, sorry, normality the underscore remembered dash T2S, then if you can write him basically why nukes are the best in chat, that would be fine. But I will just move on. Russell Whiskey, what's your favorite wild berries recipe? I like them well done, with a bit of smoke, sort of. Bernard Bernard M. Jink, sorry for butchering your name, my friend. After wild berries and ozone, what will Ukraine next action against Russia? That's a good question. It's clear that Ukraine is doing systematic approach to disrupting businesses inside Russia. So I think it's going to be more economic damage. Now, where exactly, I don't have that good of an overview of the Russian economy. For example, I didn't know that wild berries would be specifically vulnerable to the strikes against their facilities, because they are actually that's how they're winning on price. So people asking like why it's wild berries being struck and not ozone. The difference is the way how they're setting up their logistics. Wild berries were established in a Russian market, and what they basically did, they created these massive super warehouses where they centrally distributed a lot of the goods that would be coming from China, and they would distribute them locally. Ozone is a little bit less centralized. Ozone have a lot more smaller warehouses all across the country. So wildberries became the prime target because they had this centralized model of deliveries. Striking one of those warehouses of wildberries inflicted massive damage. So we might see something the same. I don't know. Potentially, we will see some critical produce. Electricity, most likely. I would expect some electricity to being struck. Maybe. We will see strikes against, I don't know, repairs, transportations, like big logistic companies. That could be a possibility. It wasn't me. Dear Georgies, what do the Baltics and the Nordics are thinking about the German rearmament? As a German, I'm afraid of the IFD myself. Yes, this is the question that's everyone been asking. The good thing is that apparently German rearmament is going pretty poorly. so so I mean, it is bad, right? Everyone that is saying that Germany is now rearming, and then AfD basically a party that like I mean, they're not hiding it that much. Like in some of their meetings, they're singing in what used to be Eastern Germany. They're singing Eastern German anthem, like the Soviet occupation anthem, all together. Uh, in other places, they're not hiding their links and their roots from the German National Socialist Party. So it's very clear that having actors like this in power is going to be a challenge. My hope is that there's enough checks and balances, and that they will not be very competent at running. If anything, we saw that a lot of these radical parties, they usually are not very nice at running the countries. And very often we saw what's happening, for example, with Melanie in Italy, where she mellowed out with time. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I mean, yeah. We have right now an aggressive enemy. If we suddenly have an internal enemy, that's going to be a big problem. That's why I'm hoping that Ukraine gets a lot of those private contracts, and that's where it's going to matter. So, yeah. Uh, I think everyone looks at Germany and still hopes that it's going to come for the best, but it's not going well so far. Yeah, unfortunately. I think Europe is the one that is struggling really, really much. Okay, let's try to speed up some of these questions. Normality remembered. UK improving. Big issues with funding irregularities for reform. They've lost Manchester mayor and dropped in the polls. Dropped in the polls, but like, are you telling me that if I if I look up polls for reform, do you think they're not going to be number one? Let's me guess. Let's look up polls. Let's instead of me just doing this like this. UK polls, and here I said about let's speed up. Polls of polls, Politico. Oop. Okay. Well, nuance being that Labour has a new prime minister right now. Plus, UK right now does not have general election in any foreseeable time. Okay, I take the point. I take the L here. It definitely seems that Ukraine, that UK is unfucking itself. Good for you. I hope Andy Burnham is gonna be a better prime minister, and if you support conservatives, maybe you're gonna have a conservative prime minister or whatever. Just don't sell out to the Russian shills. Actually, I should have used this one at least. You could have seen what I was looking at. But essentially, reform is 24%, labor is 23%. That's pretty good. And dynamic is favorable to labor. Prime Minister Binface. Yes, for sure. For sure. Rome. Romo Francisco, sorry for butchering your name once again. Do you think what happened in Morocco this week had links to the war in Ukraine, Russia trying to feed discourse in EU, or was it linked to Iran, US, Israel conflict? It's a good question. I mean, as far as I heard, there was some Moroccan involvement in it. And the problem is we don't know whether this was like local involvement or this was government involvement. Because if it's a government and Moroccans are suddenly now sabotaging European actions, now we are like in a way different discussions. And that's what I'm saying is like that democracies need to have big fucking guns. So people and countries around us don't think that it's a good idea to fuck around, because then they can find out. But it could be both. It could be Russia, could be Israel, could be Iran. Like there's a lot of actors that could benefit from it. I don't remember. I know Israel. Who was Israel more? Was it? Oh my God! Now I'm really bad. Did Israel had bad relationship with Spain because Spain recognized Israel that they're doing genocide or something? Let me see. Spain, Israel stance. Yes, Spain adopted a highly critical and adversarial stance towards Israel. Yes. Yeah, so maybe that. So there's a lot of options. So we don't know for now. The point is, it's pretty stupid. And I think we need to lock our borders in a situation like this. Yes, and that U.S. closed the air bases to U.S. Air Force offensive operations. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Spain was definitely. So yeah, it could be. I mean, Israel has the capacity and so on. So uh, sort of like trying to send the message, "Don't fuck with Israel." What's next? Do you know any streamer that stayed in Ukrainian army? I don't know anybody. Is it Brandon in the Ukrainian military? I mean, Brandon went down the deep end, but he's still a good guy overall. Quite negative, but good. Yes. Ta-ta-ta. Will Russia freeze in winter? No. When UA ballistic missiles, Tosunabe, hopefully start of the next year. How will UA resolve Russian ballistic missile issues if no Patriots? They won't. Can Russia really supply 500,000, 5 million people? Questionable. Depends for what. For like large scale technological advance, no. For meat shield rushes, yes. Pseudonym, when and how will the mid range strike tackle down to the front line? And how would the effect be felt? It's already have felt. How do you think Russia stopped advancing? And how can I claim that Russia failed this year? I mean, that is the result. Guys. Russia still has the advantage in manpower, ability to. Pasha and Max, yes, exactly, as well. Russia still has the ability to attack. They still have the advantage. They still have the willingness to conduct offensive and lose soldiers. Ukraine have a lot of internal issues, have personnel issues. There's a lot of issues. And the fact that Russia right now is not advancing, a lot of this is result of the mid strikes. The results are there. Just a dude for you. That's a beautiful name. Anybody suspects that Trump started it would be threatening to Putin to allow Ukraine produce Patriots to protect civilians from Russian missiles. Yeah, I mean protecting civilians from Russian missiles. Ooh, we cannot allow that. JC Music Man. Hey JC, nice seeing you again. Я вчив українську мову 4 роки, я вчив українську мову 4 роки, скоро я говорити українською добре. Good for you, JC. Good for you. I think your Ukrainian is pretty nice, though I'm not an expert in Ukrainian. I learned it in like the last 3 years. Nicolas Sad, hi to you, hi for Ukraine. What's the status of Russian gold reserves right now? If any news filtered, I am a bit desperate about Russia propaganda war. Well, you shouldn't listen to the Russian propaganda. That's what I'm telling you. Russian propaganda, like, they are not aimed at supporting any lies. That's why, like, I try to emphasize that, like, just look at the reports that Putin is getting. When we fight check his claims and so on, those are specifically the cases that I'm trying to make why listening to Russian propaganda is useless, that you're not going to get kernels of truth from there, that there's plenty of other sources that are more or less like, if you like, they're not even like peddling Ukrainian propaganda, they're at least critical. So there is no point of listening to Russian propaganda and believing that more than that. So with regards to gold reserves, Russian gold reserves have been really, really suffering. Like, they've spent 44 billion rubles. 44 billion rubles. If I'm not wrong, I'm going to Google this. Let me see. Sorry, 44 billion, 44 tons. Let's see. Because I've read about it, but I want to get my facts a little bit straight just before I comment it. Because yes, so Russia spent like 44 tons in the first half of 2026, which is a lot. Uh, yes, the the biggest spending beforehand was 34.5 tons in sorry. The biggest spending before that was in 2002. Russia spent 58 tons. 2002, that was the year after the Russian economic collapse, when they tried to, essentially, Putin just came into power and tried to restart Russian economy. That is basically what restarted the Russian economy and built the super profits going further into the 2000s. And then in 2020, they spent 34.5 to fight the COVID pandemic, which was a major economic blow. So this is a massive amounts. Nothing closely even resembles. So by this point, let's see. Let's see how much Russia has left. At least claimed that what Russia is having. We cannot trust the Russian central banks. Yes. Yes. So the National Wealth Fund has about 141 tons of gold as of 1st of July. So they have just 141 tons left. Wow. They spend like, it's not a quarter, it's like what? It's like 15% in a year. That's really crazy. That's really crazy. I mean, they still have a lot of money in the National Bank reserves. There's like over 2,000 tons or something, but it's not the case. I've once again, if Russia starts spending their money on the currency, that's gonna go downhill very fast. Gold is there. Find it. Tamib. Sorry, I'm butchering the name. Tamim Balk. Sorry for the name. Will the loss of Konstantin Chasiv Yar really be bad for Ukraine? And are there really fortification ditches beyond the city? Yes. Well, I mean, will it be hurting Ukrainian army? Yes, on the small tactical level. Chasiv Yar has been there for like multiple years. Like, I remind you, Chasiv Yar is the next town after Bakhmut that Russia just still cannot capture because reasons. So on tactical level, it will be a problem, but they are having massive issues. So, and are there fortifications? Yes, Ukraine is building massive fortifications all the way further, even beyond the Kramatorsk, Sloviansk. There is a lot of fortifications. How much you're putting in favor of CI tonight? Two things, very much so. What about the fuel shortage in Moscow? It's temporary, and there should be a lot of fuel coming to Moscow imported from Kazakhstan and other places. Lisa Mitchell just joined the chat, and good evening from Texas. What are your thoughts concerning Ukrainian cells in Iraq against their popular military force? War winter possible this year? Slava Ukraini. Maybe. What my thought on Iraq? Wait, Iraq? To be honest, I'm not completely sure what Iraq has to do with anything. I don't know. Is Iraq right now a player? Am I missing something? Kurds. With Kurds, I mean, like, there is one, like, there's just like, it's the Middle East, baby. It's like you know, like, I don't want to say like a sad ass rom-com, but this is basically where we are. It's Middle East is ultra fucked. Still using 155 millimeter or no artillery? Yeah, a lot of 155. 155 artillery makes a lot of work that is just not being reported because it's not flashy. Georgie, do you think Europe will be able to back Ukraine enough through the winter? Yes. We'll go ahead. Is there a status about Ukrainian own ballistic missile system? Not fully yet, but it's coming. Is Ukraine able to recruit new soldiers to cover the losses? Yes. How many are recruited each month? Is the army size increasing or decreasing? It is decreasing slightly, but it has been decreasing for a while right now. What's going to happen right now is uncertain. So the numbers that we had last month is now uncertain because the changes in command, and depending on what kind of reforms are going to happen, this is going to define whether or not Ukrainian military is going to continue decreasing or there's going to be a new approach to hiring. This is part of the reforms that Drapati and Fedorov needs to do. Can Ukraine destroy Russia's attempts at making their own Starlink? Not really, no. What is the chance of Magyar's birds start striking orc ships in the Don River northwest towards the inland seas and Caspian Sea? I would say pretty high. Given the possibility of political trouble in Europe at the next wave of elections, do you think Ukraine might strike the Russia's decision centers in Moscow, try to bring the end of the war closer? Well, I mean, there was an explosion where they tried to blow up the general, right? So definitely Ukraine is trying to make attempts at it, but it's not as easy. It's problematic. Which countries did you visit on your last trip? Well, as I said, this was a personal trip because of so all people that don't know, right? So my wife, she doesn't like me going to Ukraine. Like I'm putting myself under unnecessary risks, and she's very much against it. So we have to, therefore, equalize somehow. So we have an agreement that when she's on vacation, I'm dedicating as much time as I can to my wife. So then, like when she starts going back to her studies, then I can go back to Ukraine, as I said, and do more for you and do more for Ukraine. That's a balancing act that I must do. And this was mostly a personal trip. And in this trip, we visited Germany, Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, Austria, Slovenia, and that's it. And back to Germany, yeah. JC the Music Man, do you see the Ukrainian Army YouTube channel put up a 4K 8 hours relaxing meditation Russian warehouse burning? Yeah. I saw that one. Recommend everyone, guys. It's perfect. Like Ukrainian Army TV. I mean, like to be honest, they were really behind in their television game. They really needed like some better people because they were putting out like stupid, like I don't know, like post-Soviet propaganda where it's like all these military people that are manly men, just talking about how we're crushing Russians. We are winning and we're going to be winning even more. And it was like getting like, I don't know, like 10 views or something because no one was buying that shit. So I'm happy that they're sort of starting, like getting a hint that they need to up their game. What is David saying? What is your predictions or expectations for the Russians and the Ukrainian economies over the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years? Well, it's a long question. I mean, so far we're seeing that both countries are getting pretty exhausted. The only benefits is that there is a lot of money right now being flown into Ukraine, and there's a lot of money Russia is getting because, well, it's Russia. Because there's still plenty of people that want to buy oil and don't give a shit about anyone's kids dying. So it's tough, but Ukraine is getting stronger when it matters. So I think Ukraine overall is going to suffer a lot. Ukrainians are going to suffer a lot. But at some point, this war will end. And once this war ends, Ukraine is going to be in a very strong position. I explained a lot that there was a lot of people that were looking to invest in Ukraine, but they were unsure about security guarantees. And I think that problem doesn't exist anymore because Ukraine is strong enough to defend themselves. So there is no need to have any third-party security guarantees. Ukraine is the security guarantee. And I think that's what matters. So I think Ukrainian economy is going to do really well. Russia, there's going to be plenty of dirty politicians that are going to sell their souls and your money to get their pockets filled. So Russia will do as well fine, unfortunately. At least Putin will. Russians, maybe less so. So either my YouTube chat stopped updating or there's no more questions, guys. So I'm gonna try to update the chat and see if there was any other questions, because otherwise I think we're gonna wrap this up. Yes, it seems to be I was able to answer all of the questions. So let's wrap this stream. As I said, I was extremely tired. A video coming tomorrow. I also have like a backlog of stuff that I need to talk about. Some really good analysis, and before I depart somewhere else, I will try to. Lol, you skipped mine. Totally not, sirs. Could you repeat the question? I didn't see it. Totally not, sirs. Can you repeat their questions? David, thank you so much for gifted memberships. I appreciate it, my friend. Really, really appreciate it. David, thank you so much for giving out the memberships. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the support. It's been pretty tough lately with me, but I will not complain. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to support Ukraine and advocate for Ukraine. I was wondering which video you speak of the nukes. So many of them. Like basically, okay, I guess I'm talking about the nukes. Fuck it. We need to finish with something, so we're gonna finish with nukes. Wait. Maybe I can. I'll post a video of our drones, and then we're gonna talk about nukes. There's like my favorite video that I wanna show. Do I have it downloaded? Maybe. Give me a second, guys. I want to show you one of the videos from the drones, so you know that we're doing a great job. Let's see. The video was Bigfoot. Yeah, there we go. Video. Save. So this was probably one of my more favorite videos that I saw of the drones working. I can share it now. Hello? Where did it go? Oh, okay. Sorry. Wrong folder. Wait, what? How am I saving this video, but it's not being saved? Let's try to save it somewhere where I can find it. I created a separate folder, so there is no chance now that I cannot see. Okay, there we go. Long preview. Yeah, this is the video. This is from our drones, by the way. You see here at the top, it says Matters UA. That's us. Thank you so much, guys. This is all thanks to you. So Matters UA. We call this video Bigfoot Spotted in Ukraine. It was a nice one. It's from the guys that used it. Oh. Yes, the Bigfoot video, yes. So it's so beautiful. There's many good things here. So the first one, it's just like a guy, Russian, just walking around the Ukrainian field with the Ukrainian drones flying around it. Second, he's walking in a ghillie suit, totally unnoticeable. And the best part is that he's one of those guys. So Ukrainians spread this stupidest freaking shit propaganda that one can imagine. And the propaganda was something like this. It was saying is like, when you see an enemy drone, if you don't move, then their cameras cannot detect you. So, and they spread it through the Russian Telegram channels. And apparently that is still holding up. So often we would find footage with like Russians when the Ukrainian drones is flying to them, they would just stand and do not move. And this is exactly one of those videos. So it's like, mwah, it's like beautiful. There's so many good stuff here. So yeah, this was the Bigfoot spotting in Ukraine with the Matters Ukraine. Great job, guys. Appreciate everyone for supporting Ukraine. Once again, for all of the people that want to protect the species or the apes that are known as Russians, the answer is very simple. Get out of Ukraine. You never needed to come. Like, this war is Russian-made, Russian only. They have nothing to do in Ukraine. The fact that he put the ghillie suit to go out and kill Ukrainians should tell us everything that we need to know. So I have no mercy for people that came to kill other people thinking that's like it's going to be best, especially invading their country. Get out of Ukraine. So that's where my compassion ends. So let's talk about the last one, the nukes. So the problem with the nukes is they do not solve anything. The nukes only work if people don't think about this long enough. Majority of the people consider nukes to be a solution in sort of a way like Russia uses nuke, then there's like ... question mark, Russia wins. So all of the consideration about like what can happen, like what's the consequences of using nuke, what Russia will be using nuke against, how is the reaction to that will be from like the allies of Russia, the non-allies of Russia, the rest of the world, the Ukrainians and everything else. All of that is like even the simple thing as like, will Russia itself be radiated? Because remember, Ukraine is territorially neighbor of Russia, and technically Russia still wants to capture this land. That's their goal. So there is a lot of things here that just when you start thinking about this is like, starting with like, okay, will Russian nukes fly? Maybe, maybe not. We've seen a lot of Russian technology fail. Then going to the question is like, okay, which of the nukes? Are they going to use the tactical nukes or the strategic nukes? Because the tactical nukes, they were invented by the Russian by the Soviet tacticians, by the Soviet generals, to essentially have ability to use nukes to make breaches inside of the enemy defensive lines, destroy the defensive lines, and then send in a lot of the tanks that will just breach this front line and take out and capture all of these swaths of territory and hit the enemy in the back and in the sides. That is not the modern battlefield. The modern battlefield is distributed. The nukes, the tactical nukes, they don't have that potential. What are you targeting? Russia is using ballistics specifically because they cannot find Ukrainian stockpiles, they cannot find Ukrainian concentration of forces. Once again, what are these nukes targeting? And they also do not use tanks because tanks are just going to get, doesn't matter, nukes, not nukes, they're going to get burned by the drones anyway. And then we talk about strategic nukes. Well, strategic nukes can be used against what? Well, probably cities. Okay. Well, Russia uses strategic nuke against city. First and foremost, radiation from using like cities like Kyiv, I mean, that's gonna poison Belarus, Russia itself. So maybe we're talking about using it against city like Lviv. Well, then it's basically radiation going to Poland, a NATO ally. What's then? So, like, there is so much things is like how allies supposed to react to Russia, let's say nuking, like let's say Cherkasy, because it's in the middle of Ukraine. Maybe that's like something that Russia will not want to capture or something. How is nuking Cherkasy is going to be reacted upon as Russia started aggressive war and now is nuking cities? Is China going to continue supporting Russia, or Putin is going to become like a target number one? That suddenly he's like a terrorist number one in the world that even people like Trump cannot even hide against. There is so many, and this is just like the scraping the top layer of it. The point is, like, the more you start thinking about how to use nukes, against who, what are the consequences, then using nukes becomes like, that's not solving problems. That is how I create 10 times more than what Russia is already having. It's multiplying issues. It's not a solution. Russia already is trying to do everything in its power to try to solve their absolutely botched invasion into Ukraine. But it's not working. And nukes is not a solution. Nukes are working as a psychological deterrence weapon. Nukes are working because there's still people like, I don't want to point fingers, but essentially similar to you that are asking like, whoa, we shouldn't help Ukraine because maybe Russia will use nukes, that are self-inflicting restrictions on your side and on the side of us Europeans. That is how nukes are benefiting Russia. So threatening to use nukes is benefiting Russia. Using nukes does not. I hope that makes profoundly clear, and we can, for today, finish with this topic. Guys, appreciate your time so very much. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much to moderating team. Thank you so much for supporting Ukraine, the most important. Not because Ukraine is a perfect country, that nothing bad ever happens, there is no corruption, whatever. No, it's because Ukraine is doing the job to protect us all, to make the world a better place, more democratic, supporting those freedoms that I grew up with and being taught as the things that we should strive towards. Support Ukraine, trust in Ukrainian armed forces. I love you. Slava Ukraini, and I will see you next time.